The idea that one or more of Remnant's relics is hidden in the Ever After has been a theory in the fandom ever since the finale of Volume 8, and it was revealed that this other world did in fact exist. There is some merit to it, there's connections to be made, but it's not a theory that I've ever really bought into, for a couple of reasons I will get into in a moment. But as of the most recent episode of Volume 9, Episode 3, that showed us a very reminiscent image of the gods of light and darkness, it started to make me think that maybe the Ever After has its own relics, separate from those on Remnant, and possibly with different influences and inspirations depending on how the people of the Ever After were created. We were given a pretty good hint in the Volume 9 opening that two relics likely have some sort of interaction or influence or presence on the world of the Ever After. When we see the title sequence saying RWBY Volume 9, there are two streams of blue mist that appear behind it, very reminiscent of the mist that comes from the relics when their names are called. The Relic of Creation and the Relic of Knowledge being the only two that we've seen thus far, which summon Ambrosius and Jinn. Now, these two streams of blue mist are different colors, implying two different relics. It could possibly be Ambrosius and Jinn, both of which had influence on Team RWBY being transported to the Ever After, Ambrosius creating the crossroads that allowed them to fall into the world, and Jinn giving Cinder the information that led her to knock Team RWBY off of the crossroads. So that could be what those blue streams are indicating, especially since those streams seem to crest over the world of Ever After, not actually land on it, as the scene we saw immediately before that was a crash of light onto the world that brought it into focus, which is ultimately Team RWBY arriving on the Ever After. As we saw at the end of Episode 3, that's how Neo arrived on the Ever After, a stream of light crashing to the ground. Those streams of blue mist are something different, cresting over the world, which makes me think that they aren't directly on the Ever After, but it could be indicating that maybe there are some relics that are present in this world. Now, I don't think that any relics present on this world are going to be the relics from Remnant, but I can't deny that there might be some merit to that idea, with the fact that this other world exists, combined with the idea that Ozpin made the relic of choice a little bit more difficult for Salem to find. So much so that he's not really concerned about Salem having an army of Grimm prowling around Beacon Academy in search of it. He's very much content with the idea that she will not be able to find it. If the relic's in another world, well, that would kind of make sense. As well as the crossroads, the area from which Team RWBY had to fall from to be able to get to the Ever After, it used the idea of the vaults as an inspiration for its creation, as a pocket of space that was outside of Remnant. So the possibility could also exist that the vaults are somehow connected to the Ever After, and now that Team RWBY is in the Ever After, maybe they will have some backdoor access to the vaults. But I've never really liked either of those two ideas, as if Ozpin did hide the Relic of Choice in the Ever After, then that would cut off access not only to Salem, but also himself, if he ever needed to get to it or keep it away from Salem's hands. We haven't really seen anyone in the Ever After that seems trustworthy or powerful enough to guard a relic that Ozpin would know personally. Maybe something like that will pop up later on in the season, but it seems like an unreliable way to hide a relic, as if Salem or any of her lackeys are ever able to get to that world, then there's no way to really stop her from getting the relic. One way or another, if she gets there, she'll be able to get it. And even more so, if the vaults are connected to the Ever After, all someone has to do would get to the Ever After and then they would have access to all four of the relics. That seems even more unreliable. And I also kind of like the idea that each world's relics are contained to the world in which they were created, the world that they were meant for, as was the God of Light and Darkness's design, or in the case of Remnant's relics, just the design of the God of Light. But I'm now starting to wonder if each world has their own relics. At the end of Episode 3, we saw the Jabberwocker cross from what seemed like the Land of Light in the Ever After, the land that Team RWBY are patrolling around, into what seemed like the Land of Darkness. We were given that very clear divide that is intentionally reminiscent to the gods of Light and Darkness, which seems to imply to me that the gods of Light and Darkness may have had some influence on this world. That Remnant was an experiment, but they left Remnant behind, maybe to move on to a different experiment, with creations that were born from different principles. Humanity was born with creation, destruction, knowledge, and choice in mind. But what if the people on the Ever After, the beings that exist there, were born with different ideas in mind, as another experiment of the gods of light and darkness, to try to create beings that would maybe see the brothers as equals, as humanity, relied on the god of light much more so, and no one went to the god of darkness until Salem did. And even that was just out of selfish reasons. She still went to the god of light first. We have no real way of knowing at this point in time what kind of experiments the gods were trying to conduct, but if they were willing to experiment with one world, it would make sense that they're probably going to continue experimenting elsewhere. And with the people of the Ever After, maybe there were relics left behind as well when the gods abandoned it. They saw their experiment, maybe they're just going to leave it for a few hundred or thousand years to see how it develops. Similarly with humanity, how the god of light left it alone, but left these 4 relics in the possession of humanity, and if they are ever brought together, the gods will be resummoned and will judge humanity at that point in time. Maybe the same is true for the Ever After. Maybe that's something we'll actually see by the end of Volume 9, that whatever relics are present, or just by achieving the result of some trial, that Team RWBY will be able to meet the gods or have some sort of interaction with them. Or perhaps they will be able to interact with the relics of Ever After. Now, as for what the identity of the relics could be, I'm not entirely sure. Let me know your ideas down in the comments below. But 2 possibilities that do come to mind, and I'm focusing on 2 here because we did see those 2 streams of blue mist in the Volume 9 opening, is the relic of purpose and another relic of knowledge. This could allow us to see Jin again, as well as allow Team RWBY to ask another question of Jin if there is a different relic of knowledge that is present and contained to the Ever After, but still with the same spirit present within it. Since when summoning a relic, the world stops in time, then that would mean no other relic on any other world could be activated. At that one instance, Jin is now present in Remnant, whenever RWBY called upon Jin, or Cinder called upon Jin. So, it would stand to reason that if there is a relic of knowledge with the same spirit residing within it, or connected to all of them, then if someone summoned it on another world, like the Ever After, time would stop there, and Jin would exist only on one world at a time. Hopefully that description somewhat makes sense, at least. But this would allow Team RWBY to be able to ask Jin at least one more question, because now, Remnant's relic is completely out of questions. Cinder used that last one. So, quite possibly, we may never see Jin again in the RWBY series, though very likely we will see her when the relics are brought together and the gods resummoned. All the spirits of the relics will likely appear at that point in time. But that could be 3 volumes away at this point, and I for one want to see Jin sooner than that. So seeing Jin in Volume 9 would be a nice treat. And then there is the Relic of Purpose. We know for a fact that in the Ever After, purpose is a huge factor to pretty much every being that is there. Little is too young, doesn't have a purpose yet, is wondering what RWBY is and what her purpose is. And even in episode 3 of Volume 9, when we saw the Red Prince and the Cheshire Cat appeared, he said that the prince must be quite upset because he wasn't able to achieve the one thing that he was put on that acre to do. Meaning he was given a purpose, a single purpose that he was meant to fulfill. Still had free will to do other things and act like a brat, but he had one purpose to fulfill. And I'm wondering if that purpose may have been assigned to him or ingrained in him through a relic of purpose. Maybe it's something that's contained in the roots of the tree, that by journeying there you can find your purpose. Maybe it's something that approaches each individual as they come of age, a test of maturity, how they get their purpose, or something of that nature. The Ever After works in different ways than Remnant does, so perhaps if there are relics present there, they work in different ways as well. Being able to distort and alter space so that, if you try to force your way to the tree, you're not going to be able to. We don't exactly know the rules of the Ever After, how the world works, and honestly, we may never know. Hopefully it gets explained and we have some better understanding of it to learn how the world works, but we may not. Still, though, that thought remains because of what we saw in episode 3. That distinct divide between light and darkness that I have to imagine is intentionally put there to give us that idea of the gods of light and darkness, implying that maybe they had some influence on the world, maybe they were the ones that created the world, created how it worked, and this is another experiment of theirs, with the people and beings that reside there being created with different ideas in mind. And perhaps there are relics to symbolize that. In my opinion, those two crests of blue mist that we see in the Volume 9 opening are indicating that Ambrosius and Jin, with creation and knowledge, were the reasons that Team RWBY was transported to this other world without the relics actually being present on the Ever After. But I can't deny that there is a possibility that exists, now that we have this other world with new creatures, new beings, new rules to this world, that there might be other relics there. Especially if gods were the ones to create it. I had theorized before that the gods of light and darkness might be a race of higher beings, like the Asgardians from Norse mythology, and that it might have been other gods that were responsible for creating the Ever After. But if it's the same gods of light and darkness, then this world might indeed be another experiment of their own. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think the Ever After is created by the gods of light and darkness? Or at the very least, do you think they might have created the beings that exist on it? Or created the world with the rules that it has? Do you think that they might have left behind other relics as well that Team RWBY might be able to have access to? I think that it might be the Relic of Purpose and the Relic of Knowledge. If there is just 2 relics, there might actually be more than 2 relics. Maybe the beings of this world were created with a different 4 principles in mind. Or maybe 3 of the same: creation, destruction, knowledge, and purpose instead of choice. Because now, each individual has a purpose, but it doesn't really seem like they have much choice in that purpose. That is just what they are meant to do. Maybe they're just trying to mix things up and experiment in different ways. There's a lot of unknowns, but a lot of interesting possibilities that could be explored as we move throughout Volume 9, and I'm really curious to know what you guys think down in the comments below. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe and join the Guild of the Eternal Flame. If you're interested in No Game, No Life, make sure to subscribe to my second channel, The Daily Flugel. And if you want to see some games played live, make sure to check out my Twitch channel, linked in the description below. I stream every Tuesday and Saturday. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.